Welcome back to The Explainer. So glad you're here today because we're jumping into a huge, honestly kind of tricky topic in the tech world right now, automation systems. If you've been following AI even just a little bit, you've definitely heard a ton of buzzwords thrown around. People are talking about automation, they're talking about agents, and lately it seems like literally everyone is talking about agentic systems. But what do those words actually mean? And more importantly, how do you know which one you actually need? Well, today we're going to break all of this down into a really detailed, super clear overview so you know exactly what's what.
Okay, let's dive right into this. I want you to think about a tech challenge you're dealing with right now, or maybe a business process you're trying to automate. Really picture it. Now ask yourself, are you building a workflow, an agent, or an agentic system? Sounds like a simple question, right? But getting this wrong can cost you a massive amount of time, money, and let's face it, engineering sanity. If you pick a system that's too simple, your processes just break. But if you go too complex, you end up over-engineering what should have been an easy fix, turning a basic script into a super expensive headache. So we really need a framework to get this right.
To get us to that framework, here's our quick roadmap for today. First, we'll meet the automation trio. Second, we're comparing core capabilities. Third, we'll look at real-world examples. Fourth, choosing the right approach. And finally, the ultimate takeaway.
All right, Section 1, Meet the Automation Trio. This is where we establish our baseline vocabulary.
We're going to look at these systems on a sort of Goldilocks spectrum of complexity. And we're starting with the most rigid foundation, which is workflows. A workflow is a structured, rule-based system where a predefined sequence of steps is executed in a fixed order. Just think of a workflow like an industrial assembly line in a factory. It's incredibly fast, super efficient, but it has absolutely zero autonomous decision-making power. It literally just does exactly what it's programmed to do in the exact order it's told to do.
You see, workflows are completely deterministic and predictable. You've got step 1, which leads directly to step 2, which leads straight to step 3, and boom, you get your output. The whole goal here is just executing steps reliably. If step 2 fails for some reason, the whole line stops. It doesn't look around for a different tool, it doesn't brainstorm some clever workaround, it just follows its strict, narrow path.
So let's step up the complexity a bit to AI agents. An AI agent is a single-purpose, task-focused system that perceives, decides, and acts to achieve one specific goal. If our workflow was an assembly line, an AI agent is more like bringing in a specialist contractor. They have a pretty limited scope, usually just short-term memory, but man, they are incredibly good at doing one specific thing completely autonomously. You give them an input, the agent perceives it, makes a quick context-based decision, acts on it, and hands you the result.
And that brings us to the highest level of complexity, agentic AI. These are multi-step, goal-oriented systems that plan, reason, adapt, and use multiple tools or even other agents to achieve complex goals. So if the AI agent is your specialist contractor, agentic AI is the overall project manager. It breaks down massive goals, learns from feedback, and basically orchestrates the whole shebang to get the job done.
And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental difference. Look at the core architecture here. Unlike that straight, rigid, step-by-step line of a workflow we saw earlier, agentic AI operates in this circular, dynamic loop. It plans, it reasons, it taps into memory, grabs the right tools, and acts. And then, and this is the cool part, it evaluates the result and loops back around to adjust its plan. It is a constantly evolving system built for totally open-ended problem solving.
Moving on to Section 2, Comparing Core Capabilities. Let's look at the feature matrix.
Now that we've got our definitions locked in, let's see how these actually stack up side by side. Looking at this first table, the contrast in autonomy and decision-making is just wild. For autonomy, workflows have literally none, 1 star. Agents sit right there in the middle with limited, 3-star autonomy, tailored for their specific task. But agentic AI, 5 stars, high autonomy. And when it comes to decision-making, workflows just blindly follow rules. Agents make context-based decisions at the task level. But agentic AI handles dynamic, multi-step, goal-driven reasoning. It actually figures out the how on the fly.
Let's see how this builds when we check out flexibility, memory, and complexity. Take a look at the memory row right there. This is a huge differentiator. Workflows, 0 memory required. They just pass data down the line. Agents use a bit of short-term memory just to handle whatever's right in front of them. But agentic AI leans on long-term memory and actual learning. It remembers what worked yesterday and applies it to the super complex, highly flexible problems it's tackling today.
All right, Section 3, Real-World Examples. Let's bring this theory down to earth.
Abstract matrices are great and all,
But let's talk about what these actually look like out in the wild. First up, workflows. We're talking about things like ETL pipelines, machine learning model deployment pipelines, basic approval workflows in your HR software, or massive data processing jobs. If you use tools like Airflow, DAGs, or Zapier, that's exactly what this is. In these situations, you want zero surprises. You just need pure, reliable execution where steps happen in a guaranteed, unchangeable order.
Next, AI agents in the real world. These are your hyper-focused specialists. Think of a customer support agent chatbot designed just to handle returns. Or a code review agent that scans a specific pull request for bugs. Or maybe a data analysis agent, or a travel booking agent. The entire goal here is completing one focused task perfectly. The agent takes the user's prompt, decides on the parameters, and spits out a very specific result.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Agentic AI takes things to an entirely different level by stringing incredibly complex actions together. Look at the AI software engineer example here. It doesn't just write a quick snippet of code, it plans the whole architecture, writes the code, runs tests, and then literally initiates deployment. Or the AI research assistant. It plans a strategy, searches the web, analyzes what it finds, and writes up a summarized report. Systems like AutoGPT or Crew AI live right here. They don't just act, they think, they decide, and they orchestrate.
Let's jump into Section 4, Choosing the Right Approach. This is a practical decision framework for you.
So, how do you actually decide what to build for your own projects? Well, you should firmly stick to classic workflows when your tasks are highly repetitive and predictable. If the steps are super well-defined and stable. And, most importantly, if reliability is way more important to you than smarts, build a workflow. Seriously, if you just need pure stability without any risk of AI hallucinations, because, trust me, nobody wants their payroll system getting creative, the classic workflow is undefeated.
Now, you should step up to AI agents when you need automation for a specific, isolated task. They are the perfect middle ground when you want a quick response that requires a little bit of contextual reasoning, but you definitely don't want the massive overhead of a totally open-ended system. Basically, if you need a virtual assistant to just handle one focused job, like booking a flight or answering a common FAQ, an AI agent is absolutely your best bet.
But you want to unleash Agentic AI when you're facing complex, multi-step, completely open-ended problems. If you need a system that can handle autonomous planning and high-level decision-making, if you need it to literally figure out how to solve a problem on its own through iteration and learning, then you need an agentic system. Keep in mind, you're trading off a bit of that predictable stability for a massive, massive increase in autonomous intelligence.
And that brings us to Section 5, the ultimate takeaway, the golden rule of automation.
We have covered a lot of ground today, going all the way from rigid assembly lines to these dynamic, reasoning loops. So, the crucial point is this. If you remember absolutely nothing else from this explainer, I want you to remember this quote. Workflows follow rules, agents complete tasks, Agentic AI pursues goals. That right there is the golden rule of modern automation. It perfectly sums up the whole evolution from rigid deterministic systems to focused specialists to dynamic autonomous problem solvers.
So I want to leave you with a challenge today. What level of intelligence does your next project truly require? Are you maybe over-engineering a simple rule-based problem by forcing AI into it? Or, on the flip side, are you bottlenecking a complex goal by forcing it into a rigid, old-school workflow? Take the framework we outlined today and audit your current projects with it. Match the right tool to the right task, and you are going to build faster, smarter, and way more efficiently. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this detailed overview, and happy building.